This is our table of contents, which consists of introduction, sensory motor stage, pre-operational stage, concrete operational stage, and lastly, formal operational stage.
For the introduction, I will explain about the Piaget cognitive development. According to Piaget, children actually born with a very basic mental structure which is genetically inherited and evolved, on which all subsequent learning and knowledge are based. Schemas. What is a schemas? Schemas are the basic building block of such cognitive model and enable us to form a mental representation of the world. So in this Piaget cognitive development theory has developed in 1983 to 1950. This theory explains about how children construct a mental model of the world, and Piaget also disagreed with the idea which is intelligence was fixed by the trait regarded of cognitive development as a process which occurs due to biological maturation and children interaction with the environment. Piaget claimed that knowledge cannot simply emerge from sensory experience such as olfactory, touching, sensing, and some inaction structure is necessary to make sense of the world.
The sensory motor stage typically takes place within the first 2 years of a child's life. It is marked by the child discovering the difference between themselves and their environment. At this stage, they will use their senses to learn things about both themselves and their environment. Okay, so there are four characteristics of children who are in the sensory motor stage. Firstly is object permanence. So object permanence is the awareness that objects exist even when you cannot see them. Once the child has realized this, they will learn how to search for an object when they cannot see it. This is called directed groping. Directed groping is where the child will pull objects to themselves and tilt them so that they can access them better. Okay, so for example, as you can see from the Piaget video that we have shown, the infant quickly leave the clothes that is covering the ladybug toy because he knew that the toy is there. So yeah, that is the example of object permanence. So next is goal-directed or intentional action. So goal-directed or intentional action is an action that is done with purpose or something to achieve. So that means that children at this age will done something only to finish it quickly. Okay, so next is deferred imitation. Deferred imitation is the delayed repetition of a behavior at a later time than when it actually occurred. Example of deferred imitation would be a child mimicking their parents cooking dinner by playing with pots and pans and pretending to cook. So if I would like to give another example, it would be a child who observes another child at preschool throwing a temper tantrum and repeats the behavior for his parents later. Okay, so lastly is dominated by motor and sensory activities. So Jean Piaget, a Swiss psychologist who developed the theory of intellectual development, said children at this stage will learn about their world through hearing, touching, smelling, seeing, and tasting. So in the sensory motor stage, children repeatedly experiment with their senses through various methods in many different environments. And so this period is categorized by rapid cognitive growth.
Dia akil ni ladybug tau.
Pre-operational stages, which take place in 2 to 7 years old. During these stages, children build on object permanence and continue to develop abstract mental process. And I had listed several characteristics of which children should possess during these stages, which is the first one is externalized think rather than communication. The second one is mental imaginary. Third one is symbolic play. Fourth is imitation. And the last one is egocentric centration and animism. So in these stages, at the very beginning of this stage, children actually does not use operation. That's why these stages called pre-operational. So the thinking is influenced more by the way that it appears rather than logical reasoning. And in addition, children also in egocentric, which is they assume that other people will see the world as they does. And children also acquire the ability to internally represent the world through the language and mental imaginary. During these stages, children are about to think symbolically. This is the ability to make one thing, such as a word or object, the toy, the whole or stand for something than itself. And a student actually thinking by dominated on how the world look, but not how the world is. And it is called as a non-logical problem-solving type of thought. And moreover, children had difficulty with class inclusion. So in these cases, students can classify object, but they cannot include object in the specific subset, which is involve classify object as the belonging in 2 or more categories simultaneously. And in these stages, also demonstrate animism. So what is animism? In this animism, student or a children actually has tendency for the child to think that non-living objects such as their toys have life and feeling like other person does.
Okey, nama apa? No. Umur? 4. Hari ni teacher nak buat test untuk Noh. Nama test ni Piaget. Jadi, nanti Noh jawab je apa yang Noh nampak Okey, so akak susunkan ni. Mana lagi banyak? Yang ini ke yang ini? Okey. Kenapa yang lagi banyak? Sebab banyak. Okey.
Next is concrete operational stage that is occurring between 7 to 12 years old. This stage depicts an important step in the cognitive development of children, in which the children is able to make use of logical principles in solving problems involving the physical world. There are 3 major capacities that the concrete operational child exhibits. Firstly, multi-dimensional thoughts. Concrete operational children no longer focus on only one dimension of any object, such as the height of the glass, and instead they can coordinate multiple dimensions simultaneously, such as the width of the glass. Multi-dimensionality allows the children to take multiple perspectives at the same time, to understand their part-wall relationships, and also to cross-classify objects using multiple features. Next is operational thoughts, which is the second major shift in cognitive development during middle childhood, when thought becomes operational, by which Piaget meant that it consists of reversible, organized systems of mental actions. These systems allow children to mentally undo actions, which is reversibility, and to understand that certain properties of object, like the number, mass volume, and so on, remain constant despite transformations in appearance. And lastly, logical thoughts, which is the third major accomplishment of concrete operational development, is that thought becomes logical and children can reason logically about concrete events. For example, inferring higher order characteristics, where young children's reasoning was focused on perceptual cues, the older children can now consider a variety of specific cues and from use the power of inference to reach a logical conclusion about higher order characteristics.
What is your name?
My name is Patricia.
Okay, Patricia. So how old are you?
I am 12 years old.
Alright, okay. So Patricia, as you can see in front of us, there are 2 glasses, right? So it has water in it. So, do you think that these glasses have the same volume?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah, alright. Okay, wait a minute. Alright, so what about right now? Do you still think that they have the same volume?
Yes, they still have the same volume.
Now I'm going to explain about formal operational stage. The formal operation stages, defined as the capacity to generate hypotheses and methodically test them to arrive at an answer to a problem, and the purpose is to think abstractly and understand the form or structure of a mathematical issue. This formal operational stage can be carried out above 12 years old kid. There are 4 categories of formal operational stages, which are metacognition, hypothetical deductive reasoning, propositional reasoning, and probabilistic reasoning. Metacognition is our ability to think about our own thought processes. Hypothetical deductive reasoning is about thought that evolves into the ability to ponder hypothetical situations, while the propositional reasoning is the ability to compare a range of numbers or ratios. And the last one, probabilistic reasoning, is the ability to use probabilities to predict likely outcomes.
Hi, what's your name? Vinita. What's your age? 13 years old. Okay, Vinita. Do you think these 2 cups filled with water have same volume? Yes. Okay. Alright. Now, what do you think about it? Of course, both has the same volume, only the shape of the container is changed. Clever girl. Thank you.